Boy, Cam's already into his story, man. Cam's excited. We welcome in Cam Salerno, 24/7 Sports, the most aggressive dapper at the Golden One Center.
That's
I've been told.
You hug with a purpose. That's what Cam does. Cam hugs with a purpose. Cam was telling the story of last night's game, how you thought it was over. You're typing up your article, and then a skirmish erupts between Trey and Brooke Lopez, and you think everyone's in the right last night?
Yeah, I mean, I think Brooke did what he needed to do with Giannis, doing what he did, and Trey stood up for the Kings, and Brooke stood up for Giannis. I mean, I think both teams acted accordingly, and that's the kind of fight you're going to see from two teams contending late in March. And I think both guys acted accordingly. I think both teams did what they needed to do. Obviously, there hasn't been any announced suspensions yet, which probably will definitely happen.
You
I
think
don't know.
so?
I would think so. I mean, I think maybe Trey and Brooke both get a game.
Well, Marcus didn't get suspended, right? Marcus got fined.
Yeah,
but I don't think he got suspended. I mean, how
Michael Porter didn't get suspended.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, Trey had Brooke in a chokehold for a second, as far as he was choking him, but
he was just giving him a stiff arm.
That's it.
Just a stiff arm to the throat. That's all.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think will they get suspended? I don't know, but the Bucks also play in like 2 hours, so
Right. Yeah.
they're gonna have to figure it out fast if they're gonna suspend these guys. So we'll see. I don't know.
I don't think it has anything to get suspended.
Here's the good news, though. You can't suspend a player if you don't know his name.
No, there's that. They'll suspend Kevin Lyles.
They'll suspend
Kevin
Lyles.
Sony will be like, why am I getting
Kevin Lyles
suspended
is
by the
suspended.
NBA?
41 is suspended. Trey Lyles is just fine.
My question is, who's going to be the fifth Kings player? Because I know we have Jessler Edwards, we got Kevin Lyles, we got Keegan Bradley. Well, I can't think of the fourth one.
Jesse said we're one 15-point half from Chimezie Metu on ESPN or TNT to complete the starting five.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's pretty good. Yeah, no, I mean,
I can't believe we called Trey Lyles correctly. Like we knew they were going to get someone's name wrong, and we said Trey Lyles, and we have no idea how we got that right. His name is Trey Lyles. How difficult is that?
It's not difficult at all. But I think I guess we're going to see when the playoffs happen. I mean, they're going to have to put some games on national TV, which they're probably going to have to put all of them. I mean, they put some on like NBA TV, but most of those games are on ESPN and TNT, so there will be many chances to mess up future Kings players' names.
They ain't putting the Western Conference Finals on NBA TV.
You know what I'm saying? It's we gonna get that ABC game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
we gonna get the ABC game.
I mean, imagine a Mike Breen call with like a Keegan 3 or a Herter 3 late in the game. I mean, that'd be pretty cool. I mean, I think the thing I was thinking about today, and because I thought about what I want to really talk about in there, what I want to spread the gospel about the Kings. I think this team showed last night, and they've showed so many times this year, they can compete with anybody. And that's kind of a softball take. And you're saying, why am I saying this? I mean, the Bucks are the best team in the NBA, I think, and Giannis is, I think, the best player in the world. And to go toe for toe with them for the entire game up until probably the last 2 minutes, where the Bucks kind of pulled away. Then, I mean, it shows a lot about this Kings team. I mean, they look like they are a team that can contend and go deep in the playoffs. And also, too, look at how they played on the road this year. I mean, they're the best team in the West as far as road record goes, and also the playoff environment in Sacramento is going to be out of this world. I don't think people realize how actually crazy it's going to be. And so to have that emotional, edge where you have the home crowd on your side and also having the best road record in the West, I mean, those are two things that can really carry you in the playoffs. I think, honestly, the only team, if I'm the Kings, if they're fully healthy, I am kind of, I guess concerned with is the Suns. I think the Suns, if they're fully healthy with KD and Book, I think they're going to go far. I think they're better than the Nuggets. I think they are the best team in the West. If they're fully healthy, I think they can make the deepest run.
I'm still saying the Clippers outside the Kings, of course. I'm still saying the Clippers. The Suns are right there, though, too.
We all got the Nuggets third. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, the Nuggets on paper are good. I mean, Jokic, I mean, Gordon, MPJ, Murray. I mean, they're a solid team, but also, too, I think the Suns, if the Suns and Nuggets played in this series, I think the Suns win, especially if the Suns are fully healthy.
Yeah. I was watching the game from home. I didn't get a chance to go to the game last night, but you talk about that energy and that atmosphere in the Golden One Center, and it was next level. It had a, I'm a big boxing guy. I had a big fight feel last night with
Yeah.
Milwaukee in town, Giannis in town. One of those situations. We'll probably get the same type of feeling next Tuesday when Boston comes through,
Yeah.
where it's like, these two teams can face each other in the finals. I really believe the Sacramento Kings can get to the finals. Like I said earlier, they can get to the finals. They could lose in the first round. I'm not saying that they're incapable of either,
Yeah.
but I'm with you, Cam, especially after seeing last night. I already felt this way before, though. This is a team that can go through the Western Conference. I don't see a team like the Bucks in the Western Conference.
Well, also too, did you see what Budenholzer said? He said it was like a 15-round fight. So I think that's pretty funny. You mentioned that, and he was talking about more like Brooke Lopez versus Sabonis, but I think it still holds true. That game was electric. I mean, how is that game a game like that not on ESPN? And I mean, I know the Suns are banged up right now, and they were going to be good before the year started, and the Warriors were the defending champs. But it just still blows my mind that some of these Kings games aren't on, national networks, especially because the teams they're playing are really good. I mean, the Knicks were obviously coming in they were supposed to have like a 9-game win streak, then they lost to the Hornets the game before. So, but I mean, all the teams that they're kind of playing the next few, games. I mean, they play the Celtics at home next Tuesday. They play the Suns on next Friday. They play the Jazz on Saturday. And then they have a few road games in between. But I mean, some of those games are high stakes matchups, and it kind of blows my mind that the Kings haven't got more national TV games. I know, obviously the record shows where the Kings have been bad for 16 years. But I mean, if you look at a team that, just plays the right way and also just is fun to watch. I mean, I have friends all across the country just who love watching basketball, and they always talk about how they love watching the Kings because their offense is just so fun. And, I think about all the people too who say like, oh, just, get league pass. I mean, not everyone can afford that. So if you can't afford league pass and the only games you're watching are, the ESPN and TNT and the ABC games, you're going to see the same 10 teams playing over and over again. And so I think by putting different, teams on national TV, you get more exposure for those teams. And then, it kind of, makes you believe a little bit more, because I still think there's a narrative where whoever the Kings get in the first round, it could be the Clippers, could be the Warriors, could be the Lakers, could be the Mavs, wherever. I think most people will probably pick against them just because of the historical aspect of the Kings. But also, too, like, I think how you look at it is teams have to play the Kings. Teams are going to have to come to Golden One Center because likely the Kings are going to be have home court advantage if they finish in the top 4, which they should, unless something drastic happens. I don't see anybody outside the top 5 jumping them. I think it's going to be Phoenix, Denver, Sacramento, Memphis in the top 4. However order, probably Denver will get 1. I don't know who's going to get 2. I mean, if Jaw's out for a while, the Grizzlies could fall, but I just don't see a team jumping the Kings right now, especially, in the final 15 games of the season. So I would just say, like, playing in Sacramento, I don't think people realize how actually crazy it's going to be. I mean, the day they clinch a playoff berth, I mean, I don't think anyone's coming home that night. I mean, I think the streets are going to get blocked off. I mean, you may see me out in the bars, like, taking a few shots at everyone. Like,
wow, bro, you're not even old enough to get in the bar. What are you talking about?
You still think I'm like 19 years old, and it's crazy.
Didn't we have to get your teacher's permission for you to appear on this show?
Yeah, I had to call out a class early.
This is credit. This is credit for Cam.
This is credit.
This is credit. No, you're spot on about what this is going to look like. Obviously, it's exciting for everyone, and they're hitting the road here. Best road team in the Western Conference, one of the best road teams in the association, and it starts with Chicago. And I think that's been one of the great things. I think it was Sean pointed out earlier, this team hasn't had a 3-game losing streak since November. That's one of the great things about this team after a fight like they had, literally and figuratively, after the fight they had last night, Cam. They've shown the ability to regroup. And not only do they have to regroup, they got to regroup and they got to travel because they got a game. Not only do they have a game against Chicago, they got a game the next night.
Yeah.
I think they got 2 back-to-backs over the next like 9 days.
Yeah, they play. I know they play the Bulls tomorrow. They play the Nets on Thursday.
Yep.
Then they play on the 24th and 25th, the back-to-back at home against the Suns and Jazz. Which I mean, there's some tough games on the schedule, but also too there's some winnable games. I mean, they've been better on the road, which it just I think crazy to think about how good the Sacramento crowd has been this year and just how. I mean, they've played really well at home, just they've lost some close games. But also too, I think the development of how this team has been able to finish games has been really encouraging to see. Because I remember the beginning of the year where they played the Warriors that second game in San Francisco, where they're up by 10 points going to the fourth quarter. Then Steph exploded and had I think he finished with 48, and he just completely took over the game. And those are the games they weren't able to finish and close. And so for them to kind of take that next step where they're, beating the Mavericks in overtime or, they're beating the Clippers in a wire to wire game in LA. And even the last Clippers game where they kind of blew that lead and Sabonis hit 2 free throws to win it. That's encouraging because, like I said, those past Kings teams do not win any of those games. And they probably win maybe one of them in the entire season. And so for them to kind of take that next step to become a team that can close out games. I mean, that's going to be critical in the playoffs when they make it. And if they want to go far in the playoffs, they're definitely going to have to do that. So I think this team could definitely make the Western Conference Finals. I think it's going to come down to who they play. And also too, I think it's a matchup based thing because, if you're the number 2 seed, you might end up having to play the Clippers, Lakers, or whoever, because they're a playing team, they win the 7-8 playing game and they get matched up. So in some scenario, like the seeding, it's kind of like the NFL playoffs too, where the division winner who in the past used to be the NFC East, who was the worst division, and they'd be the 4 seed, and then the top wild card team would be 13-3, and then they would play a 9-7 NFC East winner, and the wild card team would normally win. And so my point is, you might get a matchup where you're the number 2 seed and you're playing, the Lakers or the Clippers, who at full strength in the playoffs might be a top 4 team. And so I think it's going to be really interesting to see how this shakes out. I know obviously with Ja, who knows when he's come back or if he's come back this season. So that could also play a huge factor because, the Grizzlies have kind of, I wouldn't say got lucky. I don't think that's the right word, but, they played the Mavs without Luka and Kyrie in a stretch of, I think, 5 days. And so, having those matchups are huge. And so now the Kings are back in third, but I still think they can still finish in the top 2. And if they, close out the season like they definitely should win the Pacific Division.
You're listening to D'Lo and KC on KIFM West Sacramento, 98.5 FM, KRXQ, HD2 Sacramento, ESPN 1320, always live on the free Odyssey app or live in visual form as well, twitch.tv/ESPN 1320, youtube.com/ESPN 1320. We'll be live from Sky River Casino this Friday inside 32 Brew Street, doing our show live from there. We hope you can come hang out with us. Our first ever live show this Friday, second day of the tournament, St. Patrick's Day. Make your plans to be at Sky River.
I would ask him if he was going to pull up, but
he's not old enough.
I don't think he can get in.
He's not old enough to get in.
That's KC. If the Kings make the Western Conference Finals, I'm doing Drake bars on the show with you, and
Whoa!
We'll get it going.
Whoa!
Come on, man! You heard it,
Drake. You said Western Conference Finals.
If the Kings make the Western Conference Finals, I will come on the show and do Drake bars with Kenny.
All right.
You be doing by yourself. I'll let the guests come in here and do their Drake bars, man. Have your bars ready, man. Have your bars ready. Get in here.
Quick note for both of you guys. The Kings roughed up the Bucks so bad last night, they've resorted to signing Myers Leonard
Oh my God.
for the rest of the season.
He was in cowboy boots in the locker room last night. He was the cool interaction I want to share too is I got to talk to Milton one-on-one and asked him about Keegan. He was just praising him, and because I know a lot of people comped them when Keegan was coming out of Iowa and just said how he's a great player and how he loves this game and how he's a much better defender than he was when he was coming out of Texas A&M, and now Keegan's going to be in the league for a long time. So I thought that was pretty cool because I know a lot of people on Twitter like to look at Keegan's numbers and say he's not having a good season, but you look deeper into it, and obviously as someone who's watched this team the entire season, you guys have too. I mean, he's 9th in usage on this team. He is not the first option on the court. I mean, they're they run maybe 1 or 2 plays for him per game. And, if he was on the Pistons or the Magic or the Hornets, like a team that hasn't been good this year, and he was like the um, primary guy, like he'd probably be averaging 15 plus and would have already broken the 3-point record probably already. And so I think,
Oh,
he's contributing to winning. What's that?
I forgot about that record.
That's
He's
right.
he's kind of gone cold. Like, can he
Yeah.
still do it?
Yeah, I think he's 26 away with 15 to go. So if he averages over 2, I could be wrong in that. It might be more than that. I know the record's 187. I think he's at 156. So I
It
actually
looked for a while like he was gonna obliterate
Right,
it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is too is like when he played, I think it was the Rockets, he hit like 7 threes in a game. So he can easily get hot. I mean, he had this stretch in November too, if you guys remember, where he just kind of was not playing well at all. And it
Mhm.
was kind of, I think, a few weeks after he got put in the starting lineup, because I know he got put in, I think, the fourth game of the season. And then he looked really good. I mean, the first 3 or 4 games of his career, I think he had, I think, 16 or 17 plus. And then he kind of hit that rough stretch. And I do
Yeah.
think it is interesting if you look at the Kings closing lineups. I mean, as the season goes on, with Lyles kind of getting the nod at the 4, and then Kessler getting a lot more minutes down the stretch. I mean, in Phoenix, what was cool too is how he committed that turnover, and then I think Aiden got an and one to cut to 1 with, I think, 2 or so minutes left, and Mike Brown stuck with them, and obviously Edwards hit a huge 3, played good defense. And so that really, I think, is a positive development. But also too, what is interesting is when a guy does play really well, like I'm talking like a role player, like not any of the stars, like a role player comes in like a TD, and then the next night he gets a DMP or he plays like 10 minutes. Or I look at Holmes too when Sabonis was out against the Lakers, and Holmes came in, had a perfect shooting game. I think he finished with like 16 points, and then he didn't play the next game. And so I think come playoff time, I think Mike is kind of developing, all right, who's going to be in our rotation. As everyone knows, like when you hit the playoffs, you're probably going only 8 or 9 deep. And so I think Mike's trying to say who's going to be in the playoffs, and Edwards is honestly probably going to earn a spot, especially when you look at who they might face when you're obviously going to have to play against a really good wing or a really good guard. And Edwards has shown he can guard Book, he can guard, other guys, other wings. So I think he could be a huge asset for this team going forward.
Yeah. One of the things that we talk about a lot, Cameron, is like the playoffs and how things are going to change, right? And it's a different game. Do you buy into that? Do you see any pitfalls for the Kings going into the playoffs where things are different?
I wouldn't say different. I wouldn't say different. Know who I think is going to be different in a good way is De'Aaron. I mean, if you watched him at Kentucky during the tournament, he really stepped up his game. I forget how many points he had against Lonzo. It was like 35 plus, and he cooked him, and that was a breakout moment. I remember watching that game, and I was like, the Kings should draft this guy. Like he's really good. He steps up, and obviously not everyone on the team has playoff experience. I mean, De'Aaron hasn't been in the playoffs. Herter's been in the playoffs and played really well. He sent the Sixers home a few years ago. Harrison obviously won a championship. Keegan's a rookie, and Sabonis has some playoff experience, but not a ton. And so I think, what will change, I think, the intensity will step up for sure. I mean, I think I do buy into the fact that the Kings will be a better defensive team in the playoffs, just because it's like that next level, like getting up for a playoff game rather than a regular season game. But also too, like, I don't think a lot's going to change. This team's kind of been the same all year. They've been really, really good offensively, and on defense, they've had their challenges, and they've definitely gotten better throughout the year. I mean, the beginning of the year was really bad, if you guys remember just how bad it was, but they've gotten better, and I think that's all that matters. And I think the biggest thing for them, however the season ends, regardless if they lose in the first round, the second round, they win the whole thing, is I think they definitely need to look into some additions this offseason, as far as like, get a backup wing, or you have to make a decision. Like, do you want to roll with HB? Do you want to re-sign him? Do you want to slide Keegan to the 3, and then you want to sign a 4 who can play next to Sabonis? Or do you see Keegan more of as a 4 long term, and you go sign another wing? So there's definitely a lot of decisions to be made. But also too, I want to add this real quick because I just kind of remember this. Just what Mike Brown said after the game was really, I think, impressive. I mean, as far as Sacramento's not had a coach like that since the playoff drought, obviously, but for him to say, like, we're going to stand up for our guys and, like, our guys are going to do the same. Like, we're not going to start a fight, but, we're going to, stand up for ourselves. I think that was huge. I mean, you think Luke Walton's saying that?
Oh, shot at Luke Walton. I mean,
Well,
what did Luke do?
Luke's asking you to stay in front for 2 dribbles. That's what he's asking to do.
They wouldn't do it.
Luke is telling us we got to watch the film after. That's what he would tell us. And I just think
Luke Walton here. I really don't. I said I don't know why people hate Luke Walton here. Like people talk about that video and like how uninspiring it was. And I said, look at the players in this thing. I think people were talking about, look how they were uninspired. No, look at the players in the video. Who the hell's winning with that group?
Yeah, he was asking me.
Dude, if you want a flashback, go look at their like roster they ran it back with and during the COVID bubble. What was his name? Was it Jeffries? Who got who got a ton of minutes and everyone's like, oh, this guy could be good. And then I don't know where he's playing right now, but
he's not playing. We even had a little hit to Quan, and he's gone. Cam, you got it. Go. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like,
get it out, Cam. Just Cam is turned. Next time, send me a list. I want to make sure we don't miss anything. What is it?
I would say, like, look at the roster from like years past, just how many guys are not in the NBA anymore.
Oh yeah.
It's just it's like you'll laugh. Like
no, you'll cry. It's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing.
And it's like a lot of them, their last stop was the Kings. Like they were on their way out. It was like, damn, this guy probably shouldn't have been in the league 2 years ago, but he had one more go around with the Kings. It's tough.
Know who, like, I always thought, like, this was 3 years ago. I was like, Corey Joseph. I just never understood when he came in. He just was so uninspired when he backed up De'Aaron, and I was like, he was all right. But then when he played the Kings in Sacramento this season, he torched them.
Yeah,
I think he had like
Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah, so like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's this roster is good enough to make a run. That's what I'll say. Like, I think they are good enough as constructed, and I think it would be pretty funny though if they did make a run. Just how the only move they made during the deadline was getting Edwards, and the Suns got KD, and obviously the Lakers got Vanderbilt and D'Lo and Beasley and a lot of their teams.
Russ. Don't sleep on that. They got Russ and Bones Highland, who doesn't play for him.
Okay, here's the thing. I gotta say something real quick.
Oh,
I do not understand the Russ slander. Like, I've always loved watching him play. I understand, like, he isn't great, like, in some situations, but man, like, I just don't he's the most hated player in the league, and it doesn't make a ton of sense. I don't know. But on that same thought, the pit, I saw a funny thing on Twitter. It was a picture of the Clippers like during their construction, and someone said someone's gonna tell their kids in 20 years LeBron played against construction workers.
Oh Jesus. Oh man. All right. Cam, we appreciate you, man. Thanks for hanging out with us.
I always appreciate you guys. You guys are the best.
Get back to class and we'll see you man, I guess we'll see you in a week or so when we're back at the arena.
Yeah, I'll see you guys soon. I'll give you a nice dap, and I'll be back here on the show doing Drake bars when the Kings make the conference.
There we go. Let's go, baby.
Go, baby.
I'm
Let's
with you.
go.
Appreciate you, Cam.
Right,
thanks, buddy.
Guys.
All right.